What's up, guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment. Let's jump right on in and start talking about this John Deere HPX 615E. Now, this is going to be a Gator that is in the work series of Gators. There are going to be two different HPX models. This one here is the HPX 615E, and then you also have the HPX 815E. Now, the difference between these machines is that one is going to be gas, one is going to be diesel, and then the HPX series of work machines are going to be kind of your high-performance work machines, meaning they're going to have a little bit more to them as compared to the TX or the TS. So if you want to see the comparison in the other work series in those TS and TX models, I have done reviews over those machines, and I will put those down in the comments section below. So let's start by talking about the engine on this HPX 615E. Now, the engine on this machine is going to be located underneath the bed. So this is going to be a manual dump bed that we can simply grab a handle right here on the driver's side, pull out, and that is going to allow that bed to dump, and then that's going to give us access to this 20 horsepower liquid cooled Kawasaki engine. Now, you may not see the sticker on this engine that indicates that it is a Kawasaki, but if you get one of these brand new from the factory, you should be able to see this sticker located right here that does indicate that this is a Kawasaki engine. Now, the nice thing about the openness of this is that it's going to be very, very easy to service this engine. As you can see right here on top, we are going to have one fuel filter, and then over to the right-hand side of the machine, you're going to have a secondary fuel filter that's actually mounted there on the frame piece. So make sure that whenever you are changing out these fuel filters, that you are changing the plastic one a lot more often than we are the one that is mounted to the side rail. Now, this is going to be a V-twin engine, so we are going to have two spark plugs on this machine as well, one towards the front of the engine right here, and then one towards the rear. Then also you're going to have your engine oil components right here towards the back of the engine. You're going to have your engine oil fill and your dipstick, and then moving towards the front of the engine down low, tucked right down in here is where our oil filter is going to be. And then if we are needing to maintenance that air filter, that is actually going to be located underneath the passenger seat right over here. Now, we talked about that this engine is liquid cooled. Now, where our radiator is going to be located is going to be at the front of the machine underneath the hood. So all we need to do here is pull back the grill guard by removing these two pins, pulling that back, then opening up that hood, and then right here is going to be our cooling components. That way you know where all of your service points are on this engine. Now, before we hop in the cab of the machine, let's talk a little bit about the transmission on this machine and then also the suspension. So the transmission you're going to have is going to be a 2-speed CVT transmission, meaning that we are going to have a low and high gear with a top speed of 25 miles an hour. So this is not going to be your speed demon machine. This is simply meant to be a work machine. Therefore, that top speed only at that 25 mile an hour mark. So you may keep that in mind whenever you're looking into this machine if this is going to fit your operation. Now, the huge one on this is going to be the suspension that's on this machine. Now, whenever we're looking down into those TS and TX Gators, what we're normally going to see is a more solid suspension here at the rear. So what you're going to have at this rear axle is going to be a coil over shock suspension, but it is going to have a solid axle running across those rear wheels. So you are not going to have that independent suspension here at the rear. But once we move to the front of the machine, you are going to have that independent front suspension, making for a more comfortable ride there in the front. But with having that rear suspension here at the rear, even with that solid axle, you are going to get a better ride than you would with a TS machine. Now, before we actually jump in the cab, one thing I like to point out is that once you move up to these HPX machines, you do get the factory installed rollover protection system, and most of the time the roof is going to come from the factory as well. But you want to make sure whenever you're ordering this Gator that if a roof is something that you want, you're getting that added at the point of sale, just to make sure you're helping to save as much money as possible. Then you're also going to see the net style doors here on these machines that simply latch in with this buckle system here. So this is going to be your operator retention system that comes on these machines. Now, once we pull that back, you can see we have a pretty open cab design here. It is going to be fairly simple, as these work machines are made to be simple, but also functional for that operator. Now, also one other thing before we hop in is you are going to have your fuel tank located right down here, and this is going to have a fuel capacity of 5.3 gallons. Now, it is going to come with the black 2-seater bench seat, and once we go ahead and get in, one thing that I always like to point out on these machines is you do have plenty of foot room here to get your foot in and out of this machine. Sometimes whenever we're looking at these work type vehicles, this can be a little bit of a tight space. In the John Deeres, you do have plenty of leg room there whenever getting into these machines. Now, first things first, the steering wheel. This is going to be a solid mounted steering wheel. You are not going to have any adjustment here, so just know that where this is at is where it's going to be. So let's start with our controls over here on the left-hand side. Now, first thing you're going to notice are a couple of pop-outs here, just a couple of covers in the dash. These are going to be for additional attachments that you can add to this machine. So you have the option of adding switches right here with these two pop-outs. Then to the right of that is going to be our choke lever. Now, we talked about this being a 2-cylinder gas engine. This is also going to be a carbureted machine, not fuel injected, so you are going to have that choke knob. So on those cold starts, you may have to pull this out, or if the machine hasn't been started in a while, pull that out to be able to get that machine started. Then over to the right, we are going to have our key switch. Then if we keep continuing to move over to the right, we're going to have a switch bank right here in the middle. This is going to have our 4-wheel drive engagement right up here on the dash, also our differential lock and our light switch. And then we're going to have 2 additional pop outs here, once again, for those additional attachments. Then to the right of that, we are going to have a 12-volt outlet. So if you need to have those chargers on board, you do have the spot for that. And then right above that, we are going to have a digital display on this machine. So this is going to be a nice feature to these. This is going to show such things as the hours on our machine, our fuel level, also our speedometer. It's going to tell us what gear we are in. It's also going to tell us what we have engaged on the machine as far as our 4-wheel drive or our differential lock. So if we go to engage that 4-wheel drive, we hit that switch, we're going to see that those lights are going to go dark there to show that our front tires are engaged. If we want to initiate that differential lock, we hit that switch. Now we're going to see a lock right here in between our rear tires. And if we turn those off, those lights are going to go away. So we'll go ahead and start the machine up here. Now, once we have the machine started and we have our foot on the brake, if we're in park, which we should be with our gear shift down to my right here, this is going to have our 5 different gears that we can be in. So what's nice is with these machines in prior years, you used to have a gear shift that would take you from neutral to high to low, and then you had to have a parking brake, and then you had a lever to engage your differential lock. So they have eliminated 2 of those things from down here on the floorboard, making it into this one single lever, giving more space for storage, your 2 cup holders, and then another storage compartment right in front of that. Now moving over to the right hand side or the passenger side of the machine, the only thing that we're going to have over here is going to be our storage cubby here, our glove box. It is going to have a handrail here on the glove box, and then also a handrail up here for your passenger that's riding with you to make sure that they can ride safely, along with your doors. And then you are going to have this little bit of retention on the side of the seat here, kind of as a hip guard to help keep you in the seat. Now, I showed you on the underside of the hood here where the cooling components are, but also underneath this hood, you are going to have a storage container here. Now, this can also be removed and pulled out so that you have access to the back of your dash, and also so that you have access to add those different switches and attachments that could go on the front of this machine. Now, what we have here on the front of this one is going to be the brush guard. We are also going to have the headlights on this machine, but as you see here, we do have another set of pop-outs here that only have reflectors in them. So if we needed to add turn signals to this machine, that's something we could do. On this brush guard here, we're going to have a couple of tabs here and here that are going to be for adding extra work lights to this machine, and also, of course, to the front here, we could add a windshield as well. Now, if you want to see some of these attachments that have been added onto some other Gators, make sure to check out our other channel, 247parts.com, because a lot of those attachments will go onto a machine like this. You may just have a little bit different wiring harness setup, so make sure to go check those out. Moving to the rear of the machine, this is probably going to be one of the best working features, is going to be the bed. Now, this is going to have the full-size bed that you would see on the full-size Gators. So this is going to have that 1,000-pound capacity here in the rear. So you can put up to 1,000 pounds in the bed of this machine. As far as the dimensions go, you are going to be 45 inches long by 52 inches wide and 12 inches deep. And then you're also going to have this pickup style tailgate. Has one handle here that simply unlatches to lower that tailgate, and very easy to just put that right back up and into place. Now, the other nice thing about these beds is that the tailgate can easily be removed, and also the sides can be easily removed just with a few bolts. So if you needed to turn this machine into a flatbed, you could do that as well. Now, we also on this machine are going to have a 2-inch receiver here. So if you needed to add in in a ball hitch to this machine to be able to pull that trailer. You're going to have not only that 2-inch receiver, but also the 2 loops there for your safety chains, and you are going to have a towing capacity on this machine of up to 1,300 pounds. Now, last but not least, let's talk a little bit about dimensions, warranty, and price. So as far as the dimensions go, these are important to know whenever we're talking about storing this machine, whether we're going to have room in our garage or our shed. So what we're going to be is 119 inches long from bumper to the end of the tailgate. We're going to be 58.5 inches wide and 73.5 inches tall. Now, keep in mind that 73.5 is going to be before the roof, so go ahead and add a couple of inches if you're going to put that roof on. So getting right there close to that 76-inch mark at the top of that roof. Now, as far as the warranty goes, we're going to be looking at a 1-year, 1,000-hour, whichever comes first warranty. But keep in mind, whenever you are purchasing these machines, if you'd like to add additional warranty, that is something that you can do. Now, price-wise, whenever we're looking at one of these completely stripped down without any type of attachments, your starting list price on Deere.com is going to be right around $14,899. So we want to make sure that if we are looking into one of these machines, we're going in, we're talking to our dealer, we're talking about what all types of features or attachments we want for this machine, make sure we get it outfitted how we want it, and then also ask about any type of incentive programs there are, any discounts you may be available for, and also those different financing programs to making sure we're either getting the price you need or the payments you need to fit your budget. So guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, if you're needing any John Deere parts at all, make sure to check us out at 247parts.com. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.